All right, gather around because you're going to want to hear this. We're about to dive deep into an ancient Germanic legend, a really dark and cautionary tale from the Volsunga saga. It's got heroes, monsters, and cursed gold, sure, but it's really about the beast that can stir inside any one of us.
See, this isn't just some dusty old fantasy story. The saga itself basically tells us that these stories are like mirrors. They're not just showing us dragons in some other world. They're reflecting the timeless and, let's be honest, often uncomfortable truths about who we are. This story lets us look right into a struggle that has defined humanity for centuries.
So, right at the heart of this entire saga is one single glittering thing, a cursed treasure. And this isn't just a pile of gold, it's a powerful symbol. It's all about the allure of power, and it acts as the trigger for every betrayal, every bit of violence, and every monstrous change that's about to come.
Now, what's really fascinating is how the saga points to the core problem. It's not just about wanting stuff. It's about avarice, this insatiable hunger that can never be filled. The story basically argues that this specific desire is a trigger, something that awakens a dormant, beast-like quality inside of us, a monster just waiting for an excuse.
And here's what happens. When that ambition, that desperate need for wealth and status is just left to run wild, it starts a process of complete dehumanization. It literally changes your soul, turning brothers against one another, all in this frantic quest for more. Greed, the saga warns us, is a destructive path that guarantees any search for power is going to end in absolute ruin.
And believe me, there is no better example of this terrible transformation than a guy named Fafnir. He is the saga's ultimate cautionary tale, the man who paid the highest price imaginable for his greed and became the living, breathing embodiment of that corruption.
Fafnir's fall didn't happen overnight. It was a descent, step by step. It all started with ambition, that bottomless desire for more. That led him straight to betrayal, turning on his own family to get ahead. Then, his greed pushed him into total isolation, alone with his treasure. And finally, the last step, he physically transforms into a dragon, just so he can be better at protecting his gold. Now, the key thing to get here is that Fafnir's transformation wasn't just some random magic spell. It was a choice. It was the physical result of his corrupted soul. He became a monster because his humanity had been so completely eaten away by greed that a monstrous body was the only one that fit him anymore. It's a terrifying picture of what that kind of ambition costs you.
But Fafnir's story doesn't just stop with him turning into a dragon. His greed kicked off a whole legacy. That cursed gold he was guarding, it would fuel a cycle of violence and betrayal that just kept going and going long after he was gone, trapping anyone who was foolish enough to go after it.
And this is where our hero finally enters the scene, Sigurd, the great dragon slayer. But his quest isn't just a simple monster hunt. Oh no, it's a test. The big question is, can he face this ultimate symbol of greed and somehow not fall for the exact same corruption? I mean, just look at the comparison. It's so stark. You have Fafnir, who became a monster just to guard the treasure, and then you have Sigurd, our hero, who slays that monster to win the treasure. Even though they're on opposite sides, both of their fates are completely tangled up with this one cursed pile of gold. Which really brings us to the central question of the whole saga, right? Can you actually win something that is fundamentally cursed? Does killing the monsters somehow make the prize clean? Or does the prize just find a new owner to corrupt? The story seems to suggest that the treasure's power reaches everyone who seeks it, even a noble hero. And that right there is the saga's really chilling warning. The potential for this monstrous change, this fall into greed, it exists in every single one of us. Being a good person, having noble intentions, it's not a shield. No one is immune. All right, so Sigurd faces the dragon Fafnir, and against all odds, he wins. He slays the beast, he's standing over the body, and the treasure is his for the taking. It looks like a classic hero story, but this is where the tale takes its darkest turn. It all comes down to one single tiny moment, one single action, the taste of the dragon's blood. So get this. Tasting the blood doesn't purify him or grant him some holy power. Instead, it infects him. He gets knowledge, all right? He can suddenly understand what birds are saying, but it's a dangerous kind of knowledge, one that comes from the monster itself. He has basically just swallowed the very essence of the curse he was trying to destroy, completely blurring the line between the slayer and the slain. And this just shows you the tragic result. I mean, as a social achievement, slaying a dragon, that's off the charts. Sigurd becomes a legend. But on a moral level, he totally failed the test. He couldn't escape the corruption that the dragon and its gold represented. He won the battle, but the curse was already winning the war for his soul. So why are we even talking about this ancient story of a man turning into a dragon? Why does it still hit so hard? Because the saga isn't really about Fafnir. It's about us. It's about looking in the mirror and having to recognize that same potential, that same dragon, inside ourselves. So what can we really take away from this? Well, the saga warns that power doesn't necessarily corrupt. It just amplifies the worst parts of what's already in you. It shows us that greed is a trigger for guaranteed ruin, and that even the best of us aren't safe from it. Ultimately, it's this timeless reminder that the promise of riches, of power, or status can awaken that inner beast in any person, in any time. And that leaves us with one last, kinda haunting question to think about. For Fafnir and Sigurd, the monster inside was awakened by a hoard of cursed gold. The saga showed us their trigger. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what awakens the beast in us?